Today we're going to be talking about how to manage our manufacturing documentation from engineering all the way down through production and inspection. My name's John Stoffer. I'm an apps engineer here at MCAM Northwest. I've been in the industry for about 12 years, and I've been here at MCAM for about 4 now. And we also have Ryan Mermel with us today. Ryan is from Cimco, and he's going to help us out with this presentation. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, certainly. Thanks, John. Yeah, excited to be here today and kind of roll this out to everyone. But yeah, as John said, Ryan Mermel with Cimco Americas kind of handle the Midwest side of things here out of Chicagoland, but then also our Cimco Probing product manager and Cimco Verify as well. So thanks for having us.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. So the first thing I want to do is talk about what is the problem we're actually trying to solve. And the real issue here is we need to be able to keep everything organized and connected throughout the workshop. It can be really confusing, especially when we have lots of different parts going on. What part is what? Who does it go to? What are the different revs that are available for this? How do we keep everything on track and organized correctly? So there's a few different parts to this, right? It's when you add a new part, how do you organize and relate everything for that part consistently in a fashion that makes it easy to use, right? If you get a revision for a part, how are we making sure that we're doing the right thing out on the shop floor? How are we making sure that we're following the right revision, that we have the right version of the program? And then finally, how do we access those files? How do we manage them and do it in a way that gives us clarity and ease of use? So the answer to all three of these things is going to be Cimco MDM. It's a software that's built from the ground up as an organization platform for your manufacturing files. The entire idea here is to bring in files and then relate them to each other in a database. So this is what allows us to make sure that we have everything in line, all of our ducks are in a row, and we have the correct paperwork and the correct files for each part. What's really cool about this is that you can set this up in a variety of different ways. The way that we're going to show you today is based on revisions. So we're going to have part numbers and revisions for those part numbers. And whenever you have those revisions, we can organize and match up your files in a very intuitive way. And we can lock out old versions of files in case we need to. There are a lot of automation options available within MDM. They can all be configured. They can work perfectly for whatever you need. So it's not something that you have to conform to the software. You're going to be able to make it do what you need it to do. As far as file access, one of the things that's really neat about this is that it can either just let everything be wide open and allow everyone to get at anything that they need at any time, or you can restrict it to have different logins and departments only have access to the things that they should have access to, or it can be anywhere in between. You have a lot of flexibility with the configuration. It's great because it ties into every stage of production, everything from engineering, right when we were building our files, all the way down through production and inspection. That's all covered within MDM. So, before we really jump into using it, I did also want to mention that the ability to customize Cimco and the amount of support that you can get from Cimco is absolutely amazing. They've got world-class support and the customization options are just seemingly endless. So if you need something specific, if you're having a hard time figuring out how to get that done, give us a call. We can start a conversation. We'll try to help you. If we can't figure it out, then we'll bring it to Cimco, and then I'm sure that they can help out as well. Because it's a great product, and they are definitely there to stand behind that product. All right, so what we're going to do at this point is I'm just going to jump into MDM itself, and I want to take you from start to finish, kind of what that looks like. So this is the MDM software. And I also want to point out that what we're doing today, we're going to be using the admin privileges for this. So you're going to see a lot of options when I do things like right click on files. And it might seem overwhelming and it's like it's a bit too much, but this is because I have an admin login here. When you're using this on a daily basis, you can make sure that what people need is available and what they don't need isn't. So again, very configurable. So first off, let's take a look at this panel and what it does. We have some search fields here. We can use this to search via lots of different methods. We can search by part number. We can call up specific files. We can call it by tool name even. So if you've used a specific tool, what files use that tool? So it's a really cool way to look that kind of thing up. And the fields over here are also something that you can configure. You can set them up as needed. And then we've got all of our files in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from kind of the engineering side of things. And we're going to add in a new part. So to do that, I'm going to go up to the upper left and click on Add to add a part number. And I've got a file over here. We're going to be doing this one, 374155. So I'll just type that in. Okay. And that gives us a new part number. Now, we have all of these on screen. They don't all need to be here though. We can search. So I mean, if I search for 37 and just clicked on search, it's only going to bring up the files that include those digits. So that's the one I'm looking for. Click open, and now I am restricted down to that view. So it's a really cool search platform in that you can search for things from with a lot of different fields here, and you can configure that as needed. So the way that we have this organized is by part number first, and then revision, and then some other stuff. Now, you don't have to do it that way. If we take a look at the configuration for the database here, and we go to the level settings, here we can see the level structure. So part number, revision, operation, machine group, and you can readjust this, you can rename it, you can set this up however you really like. I just thought that this was a good way to kind of show what it is we're doing with this. So let's start by adding the file in. So I'm going to right click here and I'm going to add a revision. We're going to start with revision A. And then in this folder, I'm going to right click and add a CAD file. So I'll click on this button here to go find that file. Happens to be this one right here. And I'll click open. Now, as far as the name of that file, we can do this a few different ways. This drop down here can use the original file name. It can generate a file name. So this has rules in the back end that give it a specific name based on however you have that set up. And then choose file name, which allows you to just type in exactly what you want. I'm going to leave this on original. You also have some options here for the file. So copy file will allow you to take the original file, make a copy, and put that into the database. The location of that database is here. Now, again, this is a software that is meant to be used as a kind of like a server and client setup. And so what I'm doing here is kind of on the server end. So normally this destination wouldn't be the C drive of the user that's using this. It's going to be out on the network on a server. We can copy that file to the server, leaving the original wherever it was. We can move the file. So once we've done the association, it actually takes that file and shoots it off to the network instead. Or we could just link them. So it gives it a pointer, says, hey, the file is over here. There's a couple of more options here as well. I'm not as familiar with them, but depending on the setup that you're looking for, these might be great for you. So once we're happy with that, we're going to go ahead and click OK. And that gives us this step file here that's now attached. So in terms of the engineering side of things, we are associating our file by just right-clicking and adding that file. Now, if we needed to revise this into another version, then you might right-click here, add another revision, and then you bring in the new file for the new revision. We're going to talk about revisions a little bit more later. So now if we talk about the CAM side of things, we're going to program this now. What I'll do is when I select here, I can right-click and I can open with Mastercam. So this actually links directly into Mastercam. I've got a couple options here. I can start a new instance, or if I already have Mastercam open, it can pop it into that window. So I'm going to go ahead and open this here. And what it prompts me with is a window asking which machine definition I would want to use for opening this file, because I'm going to be programming it. Now, I only have default in here because that's what we set up. I'm only using a default generic machine definition. But if you have multiple machines, then you'll have a drop down here of all of the various machines you could open this with. So I'll go ahead and click OK. And in Mastercam, my part comes up on screen. So it's already brought in my machine group. And at this point, normally I would go through here and I would add in all of my information. I'd pick my part, I'd set up my stock. I'm not going to do that today just for the sake of time. But what we will do is I'm just going to go ahead and save this. And as soon as I go to save, I get this pop-up, which is part of MDM. If I click on it, it brought this window back. This is going to ask me questions such as, what do you want this file name to be? Should this be generated? Do you want the original, or do you want to choose it? And the same thing we saw when we brought in the CAD file. How do you want to deal with the file, whether you want to move it or copy it or link it? So I'm going to let it generate. That way it gives me this information that it's my CAM file. I'll go ahead and let this copy. And the other thing I'm going to do here is save this to a specific level. So I'm going to set that to the operation level. So if I open this up, let's see here, I put it in the revision here. I'm going to go ahead and save. And now, so I know that this file is associated to this rev, and everything is linked together. Now I can also see that there is this red dot here, and the red dot means that the file is checked out, or someone is using it. So if other people, let's say you have a programming team of a few different people, and a job comes down, hey, we need to program this file. If you go into MDM, if you see this, it means someone else already has it open. So this really helps prevent issues where people are doing double work, because I can see from right here, oh, that file's already being used. I don't need to worry about doing it because someone's grabbed it. So let's go back to Mastercam, and I'm just going to do a couple quick and simple things. I'm going to add in some wireframe for stock. Let's see, anchor to center, do it from the origin. I'm just going to say that's the boundary of the stock, and I'll just grab a couple of quick toolpaths here. So that's my machining region. My avoidance region will be that loop there from outside. And let's grab a tool. I'm just going to use a 3/8 flat end mill. I'm not too worried about all the specifics here. This is all fine. Just make sure that this is set reasonably. Okay. So that gives us some toolpath there. And let's add in a drill as well. So I'm going to add a drill in for that hole there. And this is a 1875 hole. So I'll grab that drill. Give us some tip comp. And good enough. We understand the concept here. Now, I'm going to save again. I'm trying to save constantly as I work here. And then the next thing I want to do is go to my Cimco tab, and I can click on this button for Exchange Tools with Cimco MDM. That's actually going to create a tool list for us. Very cool. You see the little pop-up, and then it went away. So we'll take a look at that in just a second. When I'm done with my program, I can also grab everything here and post it. So I'm just going to let this overwrite. This is going to bring up Code Expert, which I was given a hard time about using from the Cimco guys last week. That was pretty funny. And once I've posted that code and saved, then the NC file that we made in Mastercam has also been linked to Cimco as soon as we click on this button. It says, here's the information. You go ahead and click OK. And now that's linked as well. So again, we'll go back to that in a second when we talk about kind of the production floor side of things. One other thing I wanted to show you. Let's say that I send this out to verify. Now, this verification isn't perfect because I didn't really set it up, right? But what's really neat about verify and simulation is that there are controls for recording a verification, or you can even click this button to save a presentation. This is really neat. I don't know if you know about this, but I really like this in terms of being a helpful tool. So if I click on Save Presentation, I can put this somewhere. I'm just going to leave it in my downloads and I'll call it that. So I'll go ahead and click Save. Now, once I've done that, what I'm going to do is jump back to MDM. And in here, I am going to right-click and add another file. And actually, I think I'm going to do it within the operation level. So let's see if I can find what I need here. Here we go. So I'm going to add other file. Then I can navigate to that location. And when I bring that in, I'll just let this use the original file name and say OK. There's now an exe file inside of MDM. And what's really cool about this is once we send this out to the shop floor, they can use this. So that's kind of what this looks like from the programming side of things. And next we'll go into using it on the shop floor. So then let's talk about how this looks on the shop floor. And I did skip one little step. We noticed that that red dot is still there. So again, I like to go back to Mastercam, do a quick save, and then in MDM, with that selected, I'm going to click on this check-in button. That's going to ask me to save again. I'll just click save. That's fine. And that's actually going to clear Mastercam. And back in MDM, that dot is gone. So now that file is available if someone else needs it. There's also a version column, and that's where that red dot was. And it gives you an idea of, has this been worked on multiple times? And if you want some history on that, you can come over to this side and click on the log. And this gives you information about what happened and at what point did that happen. So we can see the time and date that this file was used. We can see when it was saved, when we got backups. And we've also got this notes column here. So you can actually just write notes in here, which is really useful to just get information across to people. All right, so now let's say we're moving on from programming and we're onto the shop floor. How do we use this really effectively? Well, there's a couple things we have. First, that button that we had in Mastercam for exchange tools with Cimco MDM. In here, it gives us a tool list, and that's going to give us all the info that we need about our tools. So it's kind of like an automatic tool list. It's built for you. This can all be configured and customized just like everything else. I believe there's also supposed to be an image here. There seems to be a problem with my particular system not working on that. But there should be an image here. It can give you all the information on the tool. And you can customize that as you need. We also have an operation list. So that tells you how many tool paths are in the program, what tools are being used for it, how long are they going to take roughly. So this is a nice, bit of information to have. Also, if you have the setup sheets created, then it can automatically log those in here as well. Or let's say that you're using something like the Varco reports, then you can right-click in here and use the other file option to add that in. There's a bunch of other stuff in here too. Like we can add setup pictures in here, right? That's super cool. So there's just a lot of options here in terms of what you can do with it. And once we're on the floor, we get this information ready, right? So our tool list is ready to go. We can go get those tools ready. If that exe file was put in, then I can right-click and file open, and that's going to extract this out and give me a window. What's really cool about this is that this window right here can be run on a machine that does not have Mastercam installed on it at all, and they can still run the verify and see how it runs. So it gives the operator a good idea of what to expect. Let's see, we'll go ahead and check that back in. There we go. The other thing we can do is if we find our NC file here, I can use this button to send that out to a machine. And that's because the MDM product ties in with DNC, so we can actually use this to send the file. And another thing that's pretty neat is because we can control everything from MDM, it means that we can have a lot of security with our files. So let's go back to the talk about revisions. So this is all within revision A. If revision B needs to come out because there's a change in that part, we can right click here and add a revision. We'll call this revision B. Okay. Now, as soon as I did that, we have options within MDM to lock everything from revision A down so that people can't access those files anymore, or only maybe specific files we don't want access. Because if there is a Rev 2, we don't want to run the NC file from Rev 1 until everything's been verified and approved. So this keeps us safe, and it makes sure that we're doing the right thing with our files and getting everything through that approval process without the chance of running the incorrect files. So this was really kind of a brief overview of what MDM does. I know I didn't cover everything. I know I haven't touched on everything that this software can do, but it should give you an idea of what this is capable of. And like I said, with everything being configurable, you can make this do a lot. And with the help from the people over at Cimco, it's going to be pretty sweet. So ultimately, what does this boil down to? Why would you use Cimco MDM? It helps keep your departments connected. You know what everyone's doing because there is that clarity between departments. It helps automate your access to your files. If things have been revisioned, you can lock out files. If you have a system where every part needs to have a specific set of files, you can make sure that everything is there, and you can automate that with that system. It improves your organization. You don't have to just go digging through a bunch of file trees in the network. You just open MDM, find the part number, and just associate it right there, and it takes care of the rest. This really streamlines your process. By not having to do any of that other stuff, it's all in one spot. You can get done with this stuff faster, because who wants to spend their time just dealing with files? That's no fun. It doesn't really help. We just want everything clean, organized, and ready to go. So that can really help you in terms of streamlining and getting that time down. This also gives you great consistency because you have a platform that is built for consistency. All right, so I know that was a little shorter than we normally do for these webinars, but this was something where I felt if I got much deeper, we could really end up in some rabbit holes, and I was a little afraid of that. So what I'd like to do is open this up for Q&A. And while you guys are thinking about that and writing in your questions, I'd like to bring Ryan on, just if he has anything else that he'd like to talk about, things that I missed, things that he thinks are big deals that maybe I didn't talk about, or anything like that.
Yeah, no, John, it was great. Yeah, the only other thing I was going to say is two things. Is one, obviously, MDM, certainly integrates, like you mentioned, with the DNC product, and so then that way it's a full loop closed system that could even be tied in with, say, our manufacturing for the data collection, side of things as well for the machines. And so again, kind of a full loop there. If obviously, files are sent down to the machine and then brought back up, we can have different workflows to set for approval processes and make sure that files just aren't getting updated or overwritten, willy-nilly. So, and then of course the other thing too is we can certainly use the client that you had up, of course, in order to add files. But the other thought that we have, of course, is that it enables and gives the operator the data that they need at their hands. And so then, that obviously saves time from having to come up maybe to programming office, or, maybe ring them on a Saturday, just to ask a question, when it could be, documented and put into the system, all in one shot as part of it. So.
Awesome. All right.
We do have a question, regarding, Mastercam files, and if it'll work with any other design platforms. So we can go ahead and bring in any particular CAD file as part of that. And then as far as a CAM file, primarily is going to be within Mastercam. We do technically have some other integrations out there. But the strongest or the deepest would certainly be the Mastercam, integration, and then like those tool lists as well. The other thing I personally like about the tool list side of things, and the operation and setup sheets is that they're live documents, so they're not a static PDF in that case. And so, if you were to obviously make any adjustments or changes within your Mastercam file, the MDM side of things is automatically going to get updated with that new information. We don't need to worry about, is this the latest tool list for this particular part, or did John save out a brand new tool list after making any edits that was requested or needed? So again, those are within the system and tied in with that integration. So.
Awesome. Yeah, I was actually going to come in here and click on this CAD file option because I wanted to see what all's in here. Yeah, it doesn't even have a file extension on here. So I mean, like, if it's a CAD file, yeah, you should be able to bring it in.
Yeah, any type of CAD file. If you want to throw in a blueprint, as part of that, DXF, DWG, PDFs, whatever it may be. So
yeah.
Yeah.
You can really associate absolutely anything you want in here. I mean, it all works. That's part of why I wanted to show, the exe. Like, you can even associate an exe file, which seems wild to me. I came up with that a couple of days ago when I was thinking about this. Like, wait a second, could you just do this? Because it's one of my missions is to try to get more info out there to the machinists, right? A lot of times machinists are left in the dark and they get some paper setup sheet and that's all they know. The more we can give the machinists to make their job easier, the quicker we can make setups. And I think that giving them something like a simulation file, giving them access to this just so they can run it and feel confident in what's supposed to happen, man, that's a big step.
Yeah, and it certainly gets kind of takes care of some of that tribal knowledge, especially, so-and-so has got, 30, 40 years of experience, if there's a way that he or she ran that part last time, that can certainly all be documented within the software. So then it's easily repeatable and not having to reinvent the wheel, down the road, either with our full client or our web client as a viewer. So,
right. Oh yeah. That's one thing I didn't bring up was the web client. There is a web client. I didn't get into it today. There's some setup to do there, but it's pretty neat. You don't even have to have a program installed. You can just run it right from a browser. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Actually, we have another question too about just Cimco overall and other maybe useful tools that we have to offer. Probably saw the Cimco probing in the back here as well of my background to probably spawn that question. But Cimco, we kind of have two sides of our business. The one is certainly the side with Mastercam, and that could be our Cimco probing or Cimco verification. For quick verify of that. And then within our editor, we do offer G-code backplotting or machine simulation, along with then, like I said, the DNC, the database products, the data collection, as far as machine uptime, downtime, utilization, OEE, things of that nature. So that would be kind of our broad range of offerings, of course. So,
right. And as far as that, if you want more information, you can come to our website, mcamnw.com/Cimco. They have an entire page just for them. There's videos, there's lots of information on their products and how they work, what they can do for you. And if you want to learn more, feel free to give us a call. We're happy to schedule a demo with you guys, or we'll call up Cimco and have them show you something if we don't have the power to do that. So we're always available. So you can just email sales@mcamnw.com or give us a call on our main line, 503-653-5332. We're always available for you guys.
Certainly. Yeah. One other one here too is regarding implementation. So we do have obviously us kind of strategically placed around the states here. So I'm personally out of Chicagoland. We have a gentleman up there in the Washington, Oregon area in the Pacific Northwest. So obviously we can assist, from a corporate level with any of the implementations as needed. And then of course from an overall standpoint, implementation generally could be done, remotely depending on what we're all putting in. But then obviously, on-site implementation. So we can take on as much or as little as, every client would want to be involved with it. So.
All right. Awesome. Hey, those are some great questions. Thank you very much, Jason. All right. Well, I don't see anything else. We'll give them a minute just in case someone has a question.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did just want to say that I've been kind of playing with this for a few days now because I didn't really fully understand what this was. And maybe I'm pulling back the curtain here on the movie magic, but when I do these webinars, I don't always know everything about these products. And even today, I'm not going to say that I do know everything about MDM. I don't. There's a lot that I'm missing, I'm sure. But it gives me a chance to dive into something and get a good understanding of what it is and how it can help people, because that's what I care about. I want to help people. I want people to be more efficient and more productive because I am a huge believer in American manufacturing. And so getting to get into this product, I realized that this is something that almost everyone can use. It's not the same thing as, oh, do you need Mastercam Mill or Mill 3D? You may not need Mill 3D if that's not the kind of work that you're doing. But regardless of the kind of work that you're doing, you need to be able to organize your files effectively and get information between apartments cleanly and consistently. This is a great way to do that because it's so clean and so organized and configurable. So I don't know. I think that it's one of those things that I see everyone having a use for. It's whether or not you want to take the time to set it up so that you can realize those gains down the line.
Yeah, and the thing too, as you mentioned, John, previously, as far as customization is we have a lot of customers that just start off from a basic level, and maybe they just want to manage their Mastercam and their NC file, maybe not even sending it to the machine with their DNC product. The DNC product and these other tie-ins are obviously the overall big picture from one system standpoint, across the entire shop floor. But it doesn't need to be, a daunting task. It could be, starting off small and then obviously growing on it as your business grows and you get into these other, sort of needs. So.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Well, I'm still not seeing any other questions. So I think we're going to go ahead and get this wrapped. I did want to make a couple of quick announcements. August 16th and 17th. That is next week. Is it really? Oh, geez, it is. Oh, man. The calendar is just slipping away from me. August 16th and 17th. We're going to have Garrett and Kyler out at the Haas Factory Outlet Open House in Boise, Idaho. I think it's technically Meridian, but let's call it Boise. So if you guys want to go say hi to them, they're going to be there. I think they're also planning some shop visits. So if you are in that area and you want to have them come out to your shop, if you don't already have that scheduled, please make sure to give us a call so that we can get that scheduled for you guys. And then the last thing is we're doing another hybrid webinar on September 13th, live at Clackamas Community College at noon. Lunch will be provided. We're going to be doing some comparisons between 2017 and 2024. We're going to look at the crazy difference that we have in the software between what we have now and what some people are still considering pretty modern, even though it was 7 years ago when that came out. So if you want some free lunch, come hang out with us. You're absolutely welcome to join. We're going to be putting out registration for that very soon. I think that's it. Any closing notes, Ryan?
No, that looks good. And Yeah, no other questions that I'm seeing here. So obviously, yeah, if there's any particular questions or anything you think that we could be of any help with, by all means, feel free to, like I said, reach out to MCAM, and we can definitely start a conversation and get looped in to see if Simco would be a good fit at anything you guys are looking for. So
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time today. I appreciate everyone coming on out. We'll see you guys next time, and have a good day.
thanks, everyone.